When you're a horror content creator, you intentionally go looking for trouble. But it's not always easy. It takes a toll, because some of the things you find follow you after you turn the computer off or set your phone down. They fester. You see them when you're trying to fall asleep at night. It's 2015. A kid and his friends use his parents' computer to log into Skype. They spend the first few hours talking to friends from school, laughing, and listening to music. One friend in particular brings up a story he heard while in class earlier that day. It's about one of their peers, a girl in the grade above them who they've talked to on Skype before. She said that one night while sitting in her bedroom, she received a call from a strange user. It's someone she's never seen before. Morbidly curious, she clicks the accept button. As the video focuses and the pixels settle, sitting in front of her is a man she has never seen before. He greets her in a monotone voice. She freezes, running through the possibilities of who this man could possibly be. But by the time she can come to the conclusion, it's already too late. The young girl has just accepted a call from a monster, a man who would be responsible for ruining the life of a child and attempting to take the life of others. And the young girl has just fallen into his trap. On Something Sinister, we have talked a lot about different situations and individuals who have posed a threat to children. And I think awareness like this is so important because protecting children is one of the most important things that we as adults can do. But threats don't always come in the most tangible forms, like a person. Sometimes the threat is a lot more difficult to see. For example, did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? And research is potentially linking ultra-processed foods to these outcomes. Morgan & Morgan is stepping in to fight to hold food companies accountable. With decades of experience fighting large corporations, Morgan & Morgan is ready to stand up for families who deserve justice. If your child, under 21, has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hit the link in my bio to learn more. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it all from your phone. Tinychat, a now defunct website that once allowed its users to talk over video and converse in user-created chat rooms. Around 2009, a mysterious user created an account and began hosting their own room. The purpose of this room was unique. While most people use Tinychat casually, this user claimed to be a prophet representing the Church of Christ with the Elijah message. This church is the only true church in existence, and I am the only true prophet of God. Unfortunately, these messages did little in the way of converting Tinychat users to the religion. On top of all of this, something else was happening on the platform. Rumors began to spread that the self-proclaimed only true prophet was showing his nude body on camera. The internet moves quickly, and once this news began to circulate, the prophet would jump ship, abandoning his Tinychat account and moving elsewhere. We've seen this type of behavior in many instances before. Someone online has a brush with controversy and makes the decision to take a break from the internet. In most cases, this hiatus is only temporary, and in others, the user never returns. To say that the prophet didn't want to be found, though, is simply not true. After all, a shepherd needs a flock, and he had every intention of rounding his up once again. September 15th, 2015, a Skype account named Holy Priest91 is created. Skype will be the next platform to be converted under God's only prophet. I saw Jesus in 1980, and he said, "The Church of Christ with the Elijah message is the only church I have established." The account belongs to a 61-year-old man from Petersburg, Florida. The description written matches that of the nonsensical ramblings made by the previous Tinychat user, but one detail in particular stands out: a link to a Twitter account belonging to the Holy Priest. The Word of the Lord, Holy Book brought to mankind by an angel. This jumbled up message belongs to the Holy Priest's profile picture. Next to the Bible is a man. Below are links to a number of strange uploads. The man appears to be awkward, pale, and with scruffy facial hair. He's using potentially the world's worst camera ever created. This photo in particular shows a desk and a monitor with a vast amount of notes written all over it, some of which contain some important information. Among them is the recurring name John S. Bula.
Hello, my name is John Bulla, and I'm standing in the bathroom where I live now at a mobile home park. I just moved in here yesterday. Anyway, this is my bathroom where I take a shower and use the toilet. This is a pretty nice place.
This video, posted 2 years prior to the creation of the Holy Priest Skype account, shows John taking us on a tour of his mobile home. And while things are normal enough at first, there's one detail in particular that's hard to ignore. John's home is full of photographs of women, not just in magazines, but cutouts of women posted alongside cutouts of photographs he's taken of himself. We've seen things like this before, house tours that start out seemingly normal before making a descent into something much worse. What makes this upload any different? How do we know that this isn't part of some sort of elaborate ARG or art project? Well, the name John S. Bula doesn't just exist on social media. It goes much deeper. With a topic like this, I would normally go to Reddit and dig up any information I could find there. But to my surprise, there were only a few posts about the subject. One is a photo of John holding up one of his Sports Illustrated magazines, and the other two are links to more of John's videos. John Bula, God's only minister and church sharing some gospel, Weather Channel and Playboy Girls.
Recording. I like to watch the HN channel a lot. I like to hear beautiful women on there since I don't hear one of my own. I don't have a beautiful girlfriend or wife, as I should. I'm God's only minister and a holy man. Everyone that will not repent and be baptized by me will go to hell, and I don't care who they are.
This footage shows more of what we've seen before, John obsessing over women in various magazines. One stands out in particular, though, a torrid brochure that John took from a mall earlier that day. As he shows the brochure to the camera, you can clearly see that he has already started writing all over it. It's his usual ramblings, his address, social media accounts, phone number, and claims that he is the only true prophet of God. The desk and monitor we've seen before sits in the background, again covered in John's information. Why is he purposely doxing himself, giving out personal information to strangers on the internet? This is what we know for certain. John S. Bula is a man in his 60s claiming to be the only true prophet of God. He is a self-proclaimed representative of the Church of Christ with the Elijah message. Sometime in 2009, he began preaching his message to Tinychat users, but his ministry was cut short when he started exposing himself to people over video. Following this, John moved over to Skype, operating under the name Holy Priest91. Along with his Skype, John has a number of different social media accounts, including YouTube and Twitter, both serving as platforms for his incoherent religious ramblings. The following is a list of all of his known accounts throughout the years. Through these platforms, we've learned that John has a weird obsession with writing his personal information across a number of different objects. He also has an unhealthy infatuation with women. This is shown through various magazines and cutouts of models that he has posted throughout his home. But this infatuation goes even deeper, because even though posting his information might have been an attempt to draw people to his religious cause, John was also using it as a means of meeting women and children.
Hello, I'm John Bulla, and this is the place where I want to meet people. There's a Subway restaurant. I want to meet very beautiful women and people that want to sell me a computer or anything else on Craigslist here in Pensacola, Florida.
This upload, posted to John's YouTube page, is called How Beautiful Women Can Meet Me. The description says, I was near a Dollar General store that is close to a Subway restaurant and told women to meet me there and told you about my correct church and religion. And though John is single in these uploads, it didn't always used to be that way. In fact, one of his previous female relationships led to something really bad. Determining John's exact timeline is almost impossible. If you couldn't already tell, he's really not much of a reliable narrator, and as such, discerning fact from fiction is very difficult. But we do know for certain that John was married in April of 1994. There's some discourse as to how John and his wife met, with a lot of people believing that she might have been a part of the same church as John. But regardless of that, this marriage and union between the two brought John a stepdaughter, a child whose life John would forever change, and a situation that would inevitably end up with John's name being printed in the Tennessee Sex Offender Registry. John smiles in his mugshot. The words "aggravated" hang on the page beneath him. His reputation has been stained, and he will never be the same because of it. Following the events of John's crime, he and his wife would divorce, but the ramifications for his actions would follow him.
I'm going to play a very important recording right now that proves I did not stepdaughter nor have aggravated with my stepdaughter. Here is a real demon saying that he possessed her and made her lie about me in court, and the judge also had to lie. I'm a demon that possessed my stepdaughter and made her lie about getting by you, and I'm the demon that possessed your ex-wife and made her lie.
This video, posted in January of 2016, is titled Mephistopheles and Lucifer or Satan. John has just presented proof that he was not responsible for his stepdaughter, and that instead a demon named Mephistopheles possessed her to speak out against him. The voice on the audio recording sounds like John speaking in a gravelly tone, juxtaposed back to back with recordings of his regular voice. The effect makes it somewhat appear like John is talking to Mephistopheles. This video, if it wasn't clear already, is a clear indication that John is not operating in reality. In a time where mental health is such a sensitive subject, I feel as though it would be the right thing to preface that not everyone suffering from the same type of mental illness that John is a dangerous person. John is a medically diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. This causes paranoia, delusions, hallucinations, sometimes visual, sometimes auditory. All of this sort of leading John to believe that he is, chosen by God and that he is God's only true prophet, and that his former stepdaughter was possessed by a demon. It's uncertain whether or not John was receiving treatment for his schizophrenia, but in one particular upload on his YouTube, John is in what appears to be some type of psychiatric hospital speaking with a man about religion.
Don't keep coming forward. Back up some. You're getting too close. Can you back up some?
Whether or not this is a friend and he is just visiting, or John is an actual patient, is not clear. After the incident with his stepdaughter, John would be sentenced to 10 years in prison. Upon his release, he would take a hiatus from preaching, taking time to move in with his new girlfriend, a woman named Cheriel. This relationship, like his previous, would not end well. During their time together, John and Cheriel would often get into arguments regarding her cannabis use and in a few occasions where she stole money from him. As a result, the couple would break up. And while the final straw of the relationship was uncertain, John would later tell his peers and followers that Cheriel had been possessed by a demon. This is one of the most common occurrences in John's timeline. If something happens that is not in his favor, he blames it on demons. His stepdaughter says that she's a demon. The judge sentences him to 10 years in prison. Well, he's obviously a demon. He and Cheriel's relationship is over because she was possessed by a demon. Her evil ways were too much for him to handle. These delusions would make John a target for harassment online. As stated previously, this type of erratic behavior wasn't unique to John's personal life. He was very outspoken about his self-proclamations. Perhaps what made it even worse for him was the fact that his personal information was extremely easy to find, especially for children who were blissfully unaware that the man was a registered sex offender.
What?
You said I have to pay, right, to get flesh? How much is that?
Johnny, calm down.
Well,
Factors
3.
Let talk. What?
if you can, and you can afford it, you should pay 10% of your income to the Lord.
But your income comes from where you work, doesn't it?
Gas prices is too high.
Some crazy guy we found on Skype added him to a group call with all my friends. This guy thinks he is a priest or something. This is the description of an upload dated back to September of 2014. A couple kids sit in front of their laptop and talk to who we know to be John S. Bula. But they don't know that. To them, he's just a weird guy asking them for money. This wouldn't be the first time, and far from the last time, that John would speak to minors over Skype.
Didn't you make even human beings?
We made Kardashians.
You made what?
Kim Kardashian.
Are you serious? You made her body?
We made her.
Her physical body? Her body and her spirit? She's a demon?
Instances like this would begin to create a legend surrounding John. Kids would intentionally share John's information with one another, prompting an increasing amount of traction on the Holy Priest91's Skype page. The calls from teenagers became more frequent, Everyone wanted to call John to see if he was real. They would mess with him and poke fun, unaware of the monster on the other end of the call. But Skype wasn't the only platform that John was using as a means of talking to children. Because after one of his Twitter accounts was hacked by an organization, they began leaking his direct messages with young girls. According to internet researchers, John had a total of 5 different Twitter accounts. As you might have guessed, these accounts served as yet another platform for John to post his rants and photographs of him with his Playboy magazines. But it didn't end here, because John was also using the accounts to direct message other users on the platform. More often than not, these were underage girls who he had hoped to exchange explicit photographs with. John's earliest account, Ordained by Jesus, features a profile picture like you would expect, but upon navigating past this, you will find that a vigilante group known as NOS hacked his account in 2014. Following this, they would release a number of disturbing screenshots. Hi Kimberly, have I met with you in one of my Tinychat video chat rooms? Why do you follow me? Hi Kimberly, what is your age and what do you look like and where do you live? Hi Christina, is it really you, very beautiful woman? I thank you for following me, girl. Christina, maybe we could get together sometime, girl. How are you, very beautiful girl? Who is that girl you were kissing from the picture? Could I have your phone number? You are a very pretty woman. Are you a single woman? I would like to have a wife that looks like you. Hello, ma'am. What is your name, and are you married or single, and what is your age, girl? Hello. Give me your email address, girl, and I then make you my contact in Windows Live, Yahoo, and Skype messengers and see me live, girl. These disturbing messages are just a few examples of what John was sending to unsuspecting girls who followed him on his Twitter accounts. One of his Twitter profiles in particular, Paul45 Thomas, was suspended after John posted a profile picture featuring himself holding up a clear plastic bag containing his. This moment can be seen in one of his videos where he holds the bag up during a Skype call. So let's get up to speed on everything. In the state of Florida, where John was living at the time of his Skype calls, he was lawfully banned from being in communication with children without the presence of another adult. But this wouldn't stop him from accepting calls from minors on numerous occasions, and even reaching out to them himself. In these calls, John would relay his usual info dump about being the only true prophet of God, and that the children needed to send him money as a means of tithing and supporting his religious cause. But aside from asking for money, John also used his Skype calls as an opportunity to heal and exorcise demons. According to his own philosophy, being the only true prophet chosen by God allowed him to perform miracles similar to that of Jesus Christ. The description of this video goes into detail about a Skype call with a girl named Becky. This is the woman whose photo John is holding in the video. According to John, Becky's computer was hacked by demons, and he was able to successfully exorcise them. But following this call, Becky's account was removed from the platform, and John claims that he hasn't been able to find her since. The reality of this situation, I believe, is that Becky was just someone who wanted to take advantage of or make fun of John in this situation. And after the fact, she kind of feared, understandably so, that John would continue pestering her, so I think she just blocked him. In late 2018, things would start to go downhill in John's personal life. Up until this point, he had lived in a small rental home in rural Florida. This expense, as well as others, were slowly becoming more and more problematic. Given his mental state, John was unable to work, and his demands for tithing from users on Skype were not paying the bills. As a result, John would make an extremely bizarre post to Craigslist. In the photos attached to the post, John stands outside of the home. He's not wearing a shirt and appears to have some sort of odd necklace hanging around his neck. In another photograph, we get a more in-depth look at the kitchen of the home. It's very cluttered, to say the least. According to the ad, John was seeking a roommate in order to help him pay for the home. They would be charged $250 a month. In addition to this was a description reading, "Searching for a beautiful woman and adult girl to date and marry." This ad would receive no traction for obvious reasons, and as such, John's financial crisis would continue. It's uncertain if this was the final straw for John, if the pressures of day-to-day life were what caused him to try and kill a man and his 2 children. On the morning of November 16th, 2018, nearly 4 months after John's failed Craigslist ad, a resident of Amber Street in Pensacola, Florida, woke up to a commotion outside. Curious about the source of the noise, the man would exit his home along with his 2 children. To their horror, standing outside their home was John. He was wearing what police later referred to as a handmade knife necklace. He was also holding a knife in both of his hands. The neighbor nervously told John that he was making too much noise for it being so early in the morning. "If you call the cops, I will kill you." These were the final words spoken by John before he sprinted towards the man and his children, holding the knives above his head. The neighbor quickly rushed him and his children inside, turning and locking the door behind them. The children sat and listened as John continued to yell and scream outside. Meanwhile, the neighbor was busy calling 911. While waiting for the police to arrive, the yelling and banging on the other side of the door came to a stop. John was gone. Police would eventually find him hiding inside his small rental home. After deputies knocked on his door and demanded that he come out, John would refuse and threaten to kill anyone who attempted to enter the home. It would be some time before police successfully talked John down. From here, he would exit his home where he would be detained by police. In his mugshot following the incident, John smiles and waves. To him, the ramifications for his actions were non-existent. John would be charged with 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 2 counts of felony child cruelty. This disturbing photograph, the mugshot, would be the last photograph ever taken of John. He would remain in prison until January 4th of 2021. After his release, he returned to his normal life, but something wasn't right. He was sick and slowly dying. To my surprise, the details regarding John's death are rather obscure. If my math is correct, John would have been about 67 at the time of his death. According to online forums, the mystery around his death isn't as cryptic as you'd expect. John apparently was considered to be a homeless man who didn't have any next of kin who were involved in his life. As a result, the death certificate and cause of death are not very easily accessible. It's speculated, however, that John died from an infection that caused him to have a stroke. By the end of John Boula's life, he had come to be somewhat of an internet legend. He was someone who thought people liked him and wanted to hear his message. The irony is that most, if not all, of these people didn't actually care about him at all. He was nothing more than a laughingstock, someone that people could point at and make fun of. And in the end, he had no one but himself. An argument could certainly be made that John deserves some sympathy. He was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, a mental illness that could be attributed to his destructive behavior. But at the end of the day, John forever affected his stepdaughter's life, and he almost took the lives of his neighbor and their children. Because of this, perhaps it's a good thing that he's in a place now where he can't hurt anyone ever again. And who knows, perhaps God's only prophet is looking down on us right now.